Welcome everybody, I'm Mr. Laggy. Welcome to my first video of what I'm going to call video game punch-ups. Now the idea here is I'm going to take games that I've played, whether I've liked them or not, and try and figure out what I could have changed to make these games better. Now, I claim no expertise in video game making. I've just been playing them since preconception. I've been playing them my whole life. So I hope I have a little bit of insight as to what makes a good one versus what makes a turd. Don't forget, subscribe down below, leave a thumbs up. Follow me on Twitch and Twitter. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday on Twitch. So find me there. And I want to make a good point here out front. That this is not a venue for hostility, like, you know, national Dexers and all that crap. I like Pokemon a lot, and I wouldn't have bought all this junk if I didn't, right? So keep that in mind. If you're going to be all pissy and negative, just get out. I don't need you. This is a place for, you know, coming up with ideas to enhance on games we already love. So keep that in mind. I could get a little angry in this video, but I do love the games, and that is my approach. Okay, so the hope with doing videos like this is, you know, this is an extreme hope. I know this isn't going to happen, but if videos like this can catch on, right, where game developers hear from the people, not all this hostility jargon, but hey, these are elements of games that of your games that I would like to see, that I feel like I'm missing when I play. So perhaps you could include one or two in the next one, 3 or 4 in the future one. Yeah, I think so. So without further ado, let's just start going. Let's get in there. Let's start with a little backstory as far as my experience with Pokemon. I started playing Yellow, which was released in, what was it, 1999 in America? I took a bit of a hiatus. I loved it, don't get me wrong. I didn't fully understand it, but I really enjoyed it. And in more recent years, I started going back and playing more of the games. So I haven't played all of them, but with playing something like Sword and Shield, right? I'm not playing a game that's too different than the Gen 1 Game Boy game from 20 years ago. You know, I find Pokemon that are in very specific spots. I battle them for, you know, a second, trying not to KO them, and then I throw a ball. The story is always, from what I've seen, it's always just blah. You know, I've never really gotten into these games for the story, which is unfortunate because of, you know, the universe. The Pokemon universe is amazing. The graphics are mediocre for the time period, you know, at best sometimes. And every time I think I'm going to go shiny farm after I've completed the game, I move on to a different game instead. It just doesn't hold me. Doing all that kind of grinding just doesn't hold me. So I have to think about what would keep me playing these games for a longer period of time and make me want to actually pay for the DLC that they're releasing, right? So the 5 points I'm making are in no particular order, but changing any one of them would probably keep my attention and have me coming back for more. I want you to also stick around for that last one. It's very different. I really am curious what you think of it, and to know if you think A, it would work, and B, if you would partake in it. So again, I'm not a game developer. I don't know if any of these are very unrealistic to code, and that's fine. They're just ideas, right? They're just ideas. If other ideas can be pulled from these to make, you know, something better and more realistic, that's fine. That's fine. But I want to also hear from you in the comments. Tell me what you think these games need in order to keep you playing and keep you interested. Let me know, and let me know what you think of the 5 I've got here. Here we go.
Number 5.
The story. As mentioned before, the story in a lot of these games is lacking a lot. I understand that Game Freak is 100% focused on the younger market. For the most part, I am okay with that, foreshadowing. But I feel they assume children are stupid. And I don't just mean, like, eat your eraser stupid, but eat the eraser, chase it with some glue, then chew off your toenails kind of stupid. Growing up, the games I played were also geared towards kids, but they had real threats and terrible bad guys. Often enough, the safety of the entire planet was at stake, and we knew about it from, like, minute 1. So, our hero, who a lot of the times was a child as well, would have to defeat these villains, but not alone. No. They would recruit friends who would be useful. Right? I know, I said it. Useful. Not just screaming, overexcited dopes who are repeatedly getting in our way just to test their own skills. Now I'm going to try and steer away from the obvious right now. Friendly rival debates. I have no intention of speaking of the obvious matters that everyone's complaining about. No intention, I swear. Okay, laggy. So you're not into villains who are good people, but just misguided, and allies who are so cookie cutter, you can't remember their names. What could be done? Well, let's think about it. I mean, if we're looking for a new, unique story, why don't we change the timeline, the setting in which we're in? So I don't know if, like, all the Pokemon games are supposed to be happening concurrently or one after the next. I don't know their timeline. But let's change it up drastically for a game. Let's go Prehistoria, right? We could visit prehistoric Pokemon that we only have fossils of. I mean, think of the number of cool Pokemon that have gone extinct that they could sell plushies of to us. There's endless amounts. Then in order to keep these Pokemon for other games, they could newly discover fossils of them. That's fine. This also adds to their new passion of making region-specific Pokemon. They love it. What would a prehistoric Charmander look like? Ever consider that? Would it be on all fours? Or maybe it would have a longer tail. Better yet, it would be on all fours, and its tail would be completely made of fire. Am I right?
Alright people, let me hear it. A Charmander on all fours, whose tail is completely made of fire.
So with this timeline, we could also find out a lot of the Pokemon lore we've only read about in our Pokedex. I would love my character to be the first one to fall for Drifloon's wily tactics. I would like to be swept away. I'd like to grab a balloon thinking it's just a balloon, right? I know it's Prehistoria, I get it. But this is just some fun thing for a kid to have. And I get taken into a woods and my spirit is swept away and now... Hold on. Is this too dark, Game Freak? I mean, it's your lore, you put it in there. New rules. My character's a Pokemon now, Game Freak. I know there are catastrophic concerns in each of these games for the most part, but it's how these stories are presented to us that falls so short. Especially in recent games. We don't even know the meat of the problem until late in the game. I mean, we have to become champ. And then all of a sudden, oh, this guy's going to destroy the region? Very sudden buildups and even quicker resolutions make it feel like this was never a problem, but rather a side mission while we tried to become champ. Introduce us to the problem from minute one. Make me want to save the world or the island, because let's face it, everything's an island. I mean, it doesn't have to be something as catastrophic as destroying the world or the region, or, you know, this thing is doing that. Good descriptions, right? Maybe just the current team is running amok in each city and I have to go through and, you know, kick all of that evil team out of each city. But since they're in my city when I start, they're in my town, I have to kick them out of that town. And then it gets harder and harder to remove them from each village. And then I have to try and once again kind of overthrow, you know, the evil team at the end. You know, you can make different plots. I just want to know what the problem is, and then I want to solve it hours and hours and hours later. But it seems Game Freak is desperate not to change their target demographic in any way. By playing the last few games, it's as if they're shooting for like 5 to 6 year olds. Like, who is this script for most of the time? I don't understand. But this leads us into the next topic perfectly.
Number 4.
The Game Freak video game formula is heavily weighed on a certain demographic. But is this the demographic that's playing the game? Or at least the majority? The question is very hard to answer. I can't seem to get any good polls with enough people queried. The other problem is, if you're in the 13 to 17-year-old demographic that they're hoping plays the game, it's highly probable that you're not filling out a poll. Instead, you're playing Pokemon. Okay, I get that. The point I would like to make with this argument is that the vast majority of people that are playing these games are no longer the youngest demographic, and these gamers want something more, something like, I don't know, depth? Let's take this poll from Pokemon Go user. Again, this can't be taken as solid fact, as I don't have all the figures backing it, but as I've looked around, this seems to be the trend of Pokemon players. I'll start with the oldest users and work down. So, 50 years old and up make up about 6% of Pokemon Go players. 30 to 50 year olds are 25%, 1/4 of the market. 18 to 29 year olds, you know, people who are just going off to college or graduating college and going to their first job, yada yada. 46%. Almost 50% of their users are in that demographic. Then we get to 13 to 17. It's the second lowest at 22%. 22%. Now, a keen eye would see that this only adds up to 99%, which makes me concerned about what happened to the other 1% of Pokemon Go players. Oh no! Are they ghost gamers? No! Are they the gamers that kept falling off of bridges? Oh man. So the problem with this poll is that Pokemon Go requires users to go walking around, or more likely driving around, right? Let's be honest. And most kids in the 13 to 17 age group aren't able to drive, and therefore can't easily go off on their own. I do feel, however, I can apply most of this to the core game, as I was 17 when Yellow came out, and now my generation consists of 25% of the people playing Go, and therefore would go buy the core games for themselves, and sometimes their kids. Go is what got my wife into Pokemon to begin with, but the core games bore her to the point of falling asleep. Granted, she can sleep in most any situation, but seriously. I started her on Y, and got her Sun, but she didn't understand why she should complete Sun, as it's practically the same game she just played. This didn't stop me, however, from buying Ultra Sun. No. I got her that, and she didn't play it. 300 IQ laggy. 300. But I'm sure she's not the only one, as I get very bored with the grind as well. Trying to get past very bland conversation, only to run into some grass here, or run into some grass there. Oh, hey! Hey, over there! Another swimmer guy. Didn't I beat you like 2 screens ago? Oh, no? Oh, you were copied and pasted into this screen as well, given a different name and just different Pokemon. Okay, I see. Hey, look, you're over there too. Creepy. So what am I looking for in the evolution of Pokemon games? Nothing that would take kids out of it, not at all, but rather bring more adults in. As discussed before, a longer, deeper storyline. Does every game need to have a start as a novice, only to become champion in what probably takes a week in game time, but really feels like a day? You know, maybe start us out as the champion who has to take on the opposing evil team or an evil legendary Pokemon that's mind-controlling citizens. Maybe, just maybe, we could start as a member of Team Rocket who ends up going good. That's fine. If you want the end of it being, oh, everyone's lovey-dovey and good, fine. Make them go good. Give us a different perspective, though. Consider this for a moment. Instead of having the conventional red and blue game that we get every single time, what if we got good and evil? Yeah? What do you think? With that, we could say Dark Souls-like invade other people's games to have a Pokemon battle. I mean, okay. You get into someone's game, right? You have to find them. They're somewhere close by, hopefully. And when you do, you offer them, hey, I want to battle you. They can deny it. Or you can completely disable this option if you want. But it's a cool, unique way. It makes you feel more like you're in the universe. You're actually in this world of Pokemon, rather than just sending out your information and hoping to get a random, I mean, you do get, but getting a random person to battle. What if you just jumped in? Something else that would be nice is to have our trainers somehow feel more than just a vehicle for Pokemon. I understand they're the ones giving the battle commands, but perhaps they could do more. If there was some sort of class system within the game, it could provide a small but very specific benefit depending on what you pick. Say your character wants to become a gym leader. This would give your Pokemon a boost if they all share a common type. Or maybe they're an aspiring Pokemon chef. Now all the food you cook in the wild area, which hopefully everything's the wild area in the future, gives them a 30-minute buff or something. You could do this for just about every prefix to people's names, except for maybe like a, youngster Joey or something. But no, you could probably do something with that too. You could probably be like the best baby Pokemon trainer. See, you can just keep doing this, right? It doesn't have to be a big thing. It just needs to be something that makes you feel a little bit different than the next person. Because at this point, we're simply an arm throwing a ball, right? And speaking of balls, what? Let me change the Pokeball my Pokemon are in. Just let me do it. I want to do it. Come on. But the main point here is that we need elements of this game that don't only speak to the younger audience. Things that they have, like lore that they've got within the Pokédex, obviously don't speak to the younger audience. Okay, so there's a little bit of lore there that they have. They've got some very strange, I don't want to say sexual things, but sometimes it feels like it, that people say, because I don't know if it's a translation or something, but a lot of the jargon that these NPCs speak is really weird. Really weird. So they're willing to do these strange little side aspects of it, but let's get into some more core mechanics that are more adult driven. The kids will pick up on it.
Number 3.
Monotonous trainer battles. So how often do you leave the house and you find yourself in some sort of conflict with a small child, or a creepy old man, or possibly a strangely attractive bikini girl? Not all that often, unfortunately, given the latter. Now, I think if this were to happen again and again and again for 20 years, you probably wouldn't leave the house too often, right? I mean, every time you go out there, you have to stand out there and go, oh, these people, they just keep making eye contact with me. And then they battle over nonsense, but they give me money. They give me money. Because I don't think I've ever lost a battle. What happens when you lose a battle? Honestly, do I have to give them money? I don't get it. Now, this is a very antiquated way of stalling for game time, but it really didn't strike me too badly until the recent releases of the Pokemon Let's Go. There are points where you just can't progress in these games unless you battle these stationary weirdos. Is it possible for them to maybe patrol around the map a little bit too? Just give me a little back and forth so I don't feel like they've just wasted a whole day waiting for me to come by because the person 3 feet away won't make the move to progress. Now I'm the guy who's like 3 feet away from the other one, right? Boy. She's right there. I don't think I can take her. I gotta level up. Alright, here's the plan. I'm gonna stand here. Not gonna move. Gonna stand here. Whenever someone else comes by, I'm gonna battle him first. Get some XP, and then maybe when they turn the game off, I'll battle her and move on. From what I hear, they actually removed a lot of the battles from Yellow with Let's Go. That's crazy. There is a lot more. But this just made me appreciate how they have held back in recent games. But realistically, there needs to be another way to make money in this universe. And to, kill time. Generally speaking, we're helping a professor, right? In any one of these games, why can't they pay us for new discoveries? I would love to go out to one of these many caves and seek out old Pokemon artifacts, bring them back and learn more about one of these species and, line my pockets a little bit. Maybe I'm just too used to the MMO style of RPG, but where you get a quest, get a reward, move on to the next one, get a quest, get a reward. But, I'm also sick of this. Not gonna lie. But this can truly be done right in a world this expansive. There are billions of Pokemon, and really the only things we know about them are from what the Dex has told us over the years, which may be 1 or 2 sentences each game. I mean, kids, again, Game Freak, kids aren't stupid. They don't mind hearing why their favorite Pokemon are awesome. If the lore is worth it, they will read and they will pay attention. Let's take my favorite Pokemon, for instance. Sableye, right? Now, the vast majority of these Pokedex entries just tell me he likes to eat rocks and crystals. And then the next one tells me he likes to eat rocks and crystals. Or nothing. Once in a while, it said, oh, it'll eat a Carbink, which is fine with me because Carbink are dumb. But one of them actually says that this little guy will steal away your spirit. That's awesome. Give me more of that. Send me on a haunted house mission going after a rogue Sableye, messing with villagers who live near its cave. We could get there and the people could be all like empty shells, only speaking in platitudes. Hold on. I just summed up every Pokemon NPC out there. Oh, this is bad. There could be a real Sableye epidemic then. Oh my god, they're all empty shells, just saying nonsense. I digress. Oh, the possibilities to make money and learn at the same time are endless. Leave some trainer battles in, as it's expected on a Pokemon journey to come across other turds trying to become champion. But give us a way to feel like we're changing the landscape rather than just being a guy or gal who pops up out of nowhere and is the best in the region for some reason. Trainer battles seem like the easiest thing to code and therefore the best way to slow down progress and extend the gameplay. You pick your model, you pick 1 to 5 Pokemon, give them some moves, and randomize their attacks. We just wasted 5 minutes of the gamer's time between throwing animations, chat boxes telling me status effects, and other random nonsense that they throw in there that end up stalling the game. To nutshell this portion, I would like them to create content for the game rather than obstacles to progression.
Number 2.
The open world. This might be the most obvious of the groupings here. Now, we've got open world gameplay, pretty cut and dry, right? I mean, people talk all about wanting open world gameplay, but what does this do for us that a linear game cannot? It's important to know what you're defending so strongly, so let's talk about why we want this so much. Whenever I think about an open world game, I think about Elder Scrolls games like Morrowind or Skyrim, or Fallout 3, which was amazing. Thinking about games like this may not be fair to Pokemon, however, as these are vastly different games with very different goals in mind for their gaming experience. The term open world and the idea of a strongly story-driven game with a huge amount of things to do are pretty much synonymous now. If it's open world, I expect the world to be filled with so many goodies that I won't be able to stop playing for like 100 or 2 hours, as I want to find every secret in every corner of the map. I've struggled with whether or not it's fair to place these kinds of expectations on Pokemon, but if there is a world I'd like to see it in, this is the one. So I'm saying it's fair because I want it. Me. I want this stuff. Alright, by opening up the world for free roaming Wonderland, it serves to unify the previous points as well, right? There's ample room to create a deep story with a large amount of side missions that require a minimal amount of trainer battles, at the same time not excluding the core demographic of children 13 to 17. As an example, many years ago, my much younger cousin asked me what games I was into. My response? Fallout 3, and this new game called Dark Souls. Now, he listened politely as I babbled on, and he decided to ask for both of those for Christmas. Shortly after, he called me up and talked my ear off about how great these games are. Now, I know neither of these are meant for a 12-year-old, but especially Dark Souls. He understood the mechanics, and he understood how to defeat the difficulty of it. Don't underestimate any of these kids, Game Freak. Honestly. Now, there's two ways to deal with level progression in an open world situation, especially one such as this. Now, the first, it could be a masked linear progression by forcing people to be in a certain level, depending on a zone, right? So I don't mean they can't run through, other zones, but say, your Pokemon are around level 15, you could go run around in a zone that's like, meant for 20 to 30, but you're going to have a very hard time being able to defeat anything, trainers and Pokemon alike. So you're going to have to get yourself leveled up before you go there, so that it kind of keeps you on a path. This would also allow you to maintain an order of progression for your gyms, if you want to always have them be pretty damn linear as well. I don't want them to be. So the alternative option here is to level the world around your character, similar to like Skyrim or recent retail WoW zones. This is a far easier mechanic to deal with in those types of games though, as your abilities get better and your gear is stronger, all that kind of stuff, right? In the Pokemon case, you could have some Pokemon who are level like 60, but then grab a whole team of level 5s. So what happens then? Does the whole world just go back down to level 5? If this were the case, perhaps maybe your trainer would need its separate experience bar in order for the game to have kind of one cohesive experience bar to work off of. But again, I do like the idea of gyms being done in any order, which I don't see why they can't be. And this would allow that to happen. Now, this option does provide the player a lot more diversity in gameplay than the previous, but it seems to allow for a lot of exploitation of the world. I'm guessing. As much as I would like it to be like a 100% open-ended, it's probably the former, more linear path that would be ideal. I'm going to expand on this section a little bit because it's my list. And I do what I damn well please with my list. Also, this is a list of additions that would keep me playing. And this meshes very well with an open world, but doesn't need its own category. These adventures that you're having should be shared with your friends. Full multiplayer capability is what I'm saying. You did it in Let's Go, kind of. I mean, really, kind of. So, let's go do it again. See what I did there? Let's go do it again. So, Mrs. Laggy always likes to watch me play these games as well, but she would stay awake a lot longer if she could participate in the game. But this wasn't a permanent fix for her, however. All she could do was use my Pokemon to battle with and then follow behind me. Or in a lot of cases, let her controller go and constantly warp towards me. It gets boring not having much to do as the second player. So perhaps we could fight against more than one Pokemon in the wild. So there'd be like double battles in the wild if you have a friend. For sure they would have their own set of Pokemon with them, however. So they'd be collecting and gathering on their own as well. But how could any of this stuff miss? And I'm not talking MMO right now. Simply connecting with a friend via the internet or someone in the same room, right? Let's say we connect via the internet and we decide to go through the story together. They should be able to pop into our world, help us catch Pokemon, and a lot of times for themselves as well, even version exclusives, then go back and play their game. Now there's plenty of games that do level increases and level decreases depending on who you're playing with. It seems to be an easy mechanic and could be done here. But I would love to go through with anybody. The main point in having an open world is the feeling of seeing this huge, vast, open expanse and knowing that right now you could go to any one of those locations and play.
Number one.
Now I'm going to leave this number untitled for now, as I don't want to spoil it. But here we are, folks. This is the weird one, right? This is the one I really want your feedback on. So don't forget, Comment below. Tell me what you think of this. How we could tweak it. How we could manipulate it. Have a good time. But I think it's best to introduce this with another tale of Mr. and Mrs. Laggy's Days of Pokemon Go. As previously mentioned, my wife got into Pokemon via Go, and together we became obsessed. We drove around our neighborhood, battling gyms together, and making a name for ourselves throughout the land. So this is kind of sad, but very legit. When a lady I was battling a gym with asked me my gamer tag, and I told her, she squealed with excitement as she had seen my Dragonite dominate the local cemeteries for so long. I felt like a goddamn hero! And I was. Friends were made as we would tend to see the same people all over the place going after the same monsters to fill our pockets with. And we even joined our local Facebook Messenger chain to find out where the best raids were. All this came to a sudden stop when we had Baby Laggy. It became a lot less practical to drive in Pokemon all throughout town. Not sure why that is. But we definitely became desperate to play. So making new accounts, we decided to try and play the hacked version. So one of us could play as the other watches the baby, all from the comfort of our own home. We were perhaps the greatest tag team of all time. Sadly, as hacking anything usually does, the interest in the game was short-lived. When you can go anywhere and get anything at any time, kind of ruins the fun. Also, I think the hack was probably crushed out of existence anyways, so regardless, we were forced to stop playing. But I haven't been able to go back since, because we just can't get out that much. Something we can do, however, is go to the store from time to time. Consider the possibility here. You go to the store, right? You find a product. Let me see if I've got anything. You find a book, whatever. It's got a barcode or one of those QR codes. And you take like the Pokemon Pass app, which I don't think does anything, but let's give it some utility. Let's do that. We scan the code and we get a Pokemon. Like, that would be amazing. And then we could take this, right? We could take this Pokemon that we get, which has, you know, all the same variations of IVs and shiny chances and all that crap. We send it to Pokemon Home, which has a subscription, and maybe only the subscription people can do this, whatever. But then we can transfer those into Pokemon Sword and Shield and play with them. This would be amazing, and I want to do it. Obviously, they would need to restrict it, because people would just find like a Mew, and then they would send the barcode out online and everyone would get it. So there's got to be a way for a barcode to not be used multiple times, or for one person to just scan like the same one 38 times and just get like 38 Mews of their own, then trade them. There's obvious restrictions, but they can handle that. Maybe do 10 scans a day or something, 10 scans an hour, so that people aren't just camping everywhere. But this is not a unique idea. Let's go back 2 years prior to Pokemon Yellow with a game called Monster Rancher for the PlayStation 1. One way you could get awesome monsters to battle with is by inserting CDs into your console. And it would read the type of CD that you had, and it would spit out a new monster for you to battle with. This was mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. Now, I did not own this game, but what I did own were a number of weird Japanese anime soundtracks, and just a large number of other CDs in general. So my friend brought his PS1 over, and we would sit and create all day. Now, my Japanese CDs tended to have the best and rarest monsters, weirdly enough, so it was cool because I was the only person that he knew with anything like that. It was such a unique and cool technique that I've never seen anyone utilize since. I didn't know how to maintain the rhyme there. I was hoping to, but ain't no rapper. Again, I don't know how to code things, but here's my mindset on this. With some work, this could be done, and once coded, all I imagine they would need to do is change the Pokemon around based on their algorithm, like maybe once a month or something, and this would give us a fresh new, like, oh, we can go to the same places and scan similar things and all that. And you don't even have to just get Pokemon out of it. What if you got awesome, like, items and stuff? Like, just as you could get a legendary Pokemon, like a small chance of getting legendary Pokemon, what if you could get another Master Ball? Or you could get, like, Moon Balls and Heavy Balls, things that they only have one of in the game. Perhaps this could be a technique to get us more of those. Oh, I got one here, guys. I've got one. What if they did events where you could get themed Pokemon, like Brock's Onix or like Misty's Staryu? They would have like maybe a unique ability even, or a unique set of moves, those kinds of things. There's so much you could do with this, because I mean, I can't fathom what they could do with this to make an insanely unique gaming experience that would probably be super hype. And actually would have a lot of Angry Store employees all over the world. Let's face it. So let me know what you think of that. All right. That was everything. Thank you for watching. Make sure you comment about not only the first 4, but that last one. Right? That's a little bit out there. Would you do it? Would you go out there and scan barcodes and get Pokemon that way? I'm curious, because I would. You know I would. Now, subscribe. Leave a like. Follow me on Twitch and Twitter. And, oh. Tell me about what you want to see me punch up. Leave in the comments other games you'd like punched up. Games you like, games maybe you don't like so much, but other games you'd like punched up, made better. I'm going to get a list going, and we're going to try and get these out on a pretty regular basis once I figure out how to do all the labor. But until the next one, let's catch some shinies. Wait. Oh. Oh, the grind. Oh.